Hey guys, Kit here, Burn One. Joined with Dean. We're doing our
Hello.
little worlds report, I guess. How should we start this? Should we talk a little bit about the stuff we did before worlds, or should we just jump into the world stuff?
Yeah, it's up to you.
Was there anything interesting going on before we did the worlds? Actually, I mean, yeah, we played some locals and stuff, which was pretty fun.
Yeah, got to play against Icano a lot.
Yeah, the deck is pretty stupid. I also like that Akihabara, like all the locals at Akihabara were just like Gaijin Central, which was
Oh
pretty
yeah.
funny. Like every event that we entered within like Akihabara was just like every person from Worlds like coming to play at the locals. So like it'd be like two local players from the area plus like 16 like foreigners. It was pretty funny.
I thought the funniest one was the one where we showed up like 45 minutes early and they're like you can sign up in like 45 minutes and then as soon as you went up there they said it was closed.
Oh yeah, that one was so good too. Oh my god. Yeah, that was so dumb. Yeah. But yeah, we got to play the last oh yeah, I think you were already gone, but we played there a couple days later.
Okay.
Um yeah, I mean, I think that's about it, right? Did anything else weird happen before Worlds?
Uh Shiokos are impossible to find throughout the entirety of Japan. That's my only update on the
Oh
status of
yeah.
Japanese card shops.
We're getting a little bit of feedback now.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah. But yeah, Dean is on the struggle to find all the Shioko stuff. So yeah, I guess we'll just jump into worlds. I don't. Can you turn down a little bit more? I think we can still hear it.
Is it the fans?
No, it's like I can actually hear myself. All right, hello. Or if you could just do push to talk or something. Anyway, yeah. So getting into worlds, I guess night before the actual world tournament, we met up with everyone and we had the reception dinner with yeah, basically everyone that's attending worlds for every game. We snuck Carmen and my friend Kevin into the tournament, or not tournament, the dinner, which was a lot of fun. Meeting a lot of people from around the world who also play, and like a lot of the people that I only get to see like once a year at this event, like Kuhn and Yarbacher and all of them from like the Strictly Broken group, and who else was there? I forget. Was there anyone else there that we always talk to it from around? Oh, like oh yeah, Tin
The
from
end.
Australia. From Australia, got to meet Ken in person finally, as well as Darcy. All those people from Australia, which is like cool. Uh, but yeah, and then next day was Worlds, and we had a enjoyable time. I guess if you can call it enjoyable. It
It
was so
was a
dumb.
time.
Yeah, it was a time. You're correct. I guess just kind of get into the rounds of the day of the tournament. So I ended up on Fate 8 Gold Bar in English. And then Dean, you were on, what was it again?
I stayed on the Betelgeuse deck I topped New York with. I almost played Cardcaptor Sakura, because like I felt like the deck was actually really strong and like a really cool rogue pick that I had the option to play without losing to without really losing to Konosuba and without really losing to because I didn't want to lose to Konosuba, I didn't want to lose to AOT, I didn't want to lose to Fate, and I felt like Bang Dream would lose to Konosuba and AOT, and then I felt like I didn't really have that as an option, so I only had really Cardcaptor Sakura and ReZero, and I decided to go with ReZero.
Yeah, and you made some small changes, right? Or did you not change anything at all from the list?
I cut the Betelgeuse counter, which can like salvage the Betelgeuse for Reinhardt, because against Fate, what I wanted to do is if they put me in like a weird spot or if I was against Bunny Girl, I just wanted to be able to present the Reinhardt and then get the lethal the following turn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in theory, it should have won me games. but I only played against Fate once, and that was really fun.
Yeah, this event was actually mostly just Konosuba AOT, right? It was like 7 AOT, 7 Konosuba. Was that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. It was like
Yeah.
mostly just the.
I felt like those were like the decks going into Worlds anyway that everyone was basically going to be on. Like Konosuba feels like a really safe pick for Worlds because no one knows really about like how many people are going to show up with Fate, which is Fate is kind of spooky with the Rider level 3. And then also it beats out if for some reason there's a lot of Bunny Girl representation. It beats out all the Bodyguard from that set or the Great Performance, whatever you want to call the effect in English. So I knew Konosuba, and then people were just like, "Screw it, we're gonna be on AOT because AOT is just like a solid deck that always does what it wants, and like I guess it lets you outplay some people for the most part." So a lot of people were on that, and then like I said, I was on Fate. There was only 3 Fate players actually. It was myself, Jason from New Jersey area, and then someone else too. I forgot who. I think the guy from Australia or something like that. I don't know exactly how their builds were exactly, but the only spicy thing about my version was that I played 2 casters for the top end. So if I at any point I could just choose to try to kill my opponent, especially when it gets to time if I'm canceling nonstop. But yeah, so I guess do you want to go over, or I guess I can go over my round 1 and then back and forth.
Okay.
So for my round 1, I forgot my opponent's name, but he was playing Book Gold Bar. Was it Sword Art Online? The game was like pretty standard for the most part. There was like one really good play, which was he was I already pushed him to like level 2, like 2/2 or something like that. He still had 3 climaxes in a 6-card deck, and he had 6 stock, and I was level 1, and I just stock swapped him, which put him in a really awkward position. But he triple canceled that turn anyway for whatever reason. But yeah, after that, the game was like basically over. At that point, it kind of like sucked for him. But yeah, crap happens. Like stock swap at level 1 is like pretty ridiculous when you get like random scenarios where you can just like guarantee stock swap and then like hit like 2 to 3 climaxes. But yeah, so the game went over fairly quickly.
Okay, so my round 1 was against Sergio. He was the 3rd place Texas rep. He played. It was an absolute pile of cards. I don't even know what to call it. It had like 2 or 3 Two Souls, 2 or 3 Yukina pants,
Yeah,
like 3 Lisa books.
it was like mono Roselia and like yeah.
Yeah, it was like kind of a pile. But the spookiest moment in that game was it was like I was 1-0 and I had like mulligan 2 shots. I had mulligan like I was basically out all 8 climaxes at like 0-6 or so. And thank God he didn't play the 2 soul because I think I would have instantly lost the game there. However, he just played the book and I got hit to 1-6 and then I managed to get timely refresh and actually start to come back by like putting down Rem and like like abusing the fact that like if his deck didn't like punish me super hard in the early game, like it's pretty free, I think. But yeah, that was like the big moment was like when he decided to play the book instead of I think I don't know if he had the 2 soul or like what, because if he had done that, I think I would have actually lost that game. I was out 8 on like turn 2. It was disgusting, but so yeah, I managed to win my first round somehow.
Okay, round 2, I played versus AOT. This matchup is kind of weird for Fate, but like at the same time, you don't care as long as they don't trigger wind on your clock encore giver. So early game, like I like got the hand set up perfectly to destroy my opponent's hand and board. I just filled the 3 clock bombs, and then after that, they like comboed with Aaron and lost their errands, and for the rest of the game, couldn't actually have a hand. I think their hand was like 3 cards at most, like at any point in the game. But I got some really awkward deck states on some reshuffles where like I just randomly ate damage nonstop, and then I almost kill him. I think I left him at like 3-5 or something, or maybe like 3-4. And I'm like I should live this turn. So he attacks me, and I think I canceled and take some damage when I thought I shouldn't have, which was really weird. And then he on his last attack for 2, I was at 3/5, 4 card deck, 2 climaxes in the 4 card deck, and he needs to swing 2 to kill me. And of course I eat the 2, and I'm just like, shrug. I guess this is Weiss Schwarz. Yeah, it felt really bad to lose that way, especially when I felt like I was in such a good position all game, except for the random increments of damage where I would eat 3 even though my deck was super compressed. But I mean, that's what playing Fate's like. Without the 3/3 event, it doesn't feel as strong. All right.
So my round 2 was against Riaz, second place Texas world champion 2 times. He proved to me why he was a world champion. My deck, because I play the stock bombs as an army card, I actually have a super favorable matchup against AOT. Because I'm able to delay the air and combo turn past what the deck is comfortable doing. So I managed to present my board of hands. I was whittling his hand away. He went into level 3 with 2-card hand. And somehow that 2-card hand turned into triple Mikasa with an Armin in the back row and a split 2K1. I think it was the when he put down the Armin, the 5th card he checked was the Mikasa, and the Mikasa drew the split 2K1. This is the level of sacks we're hitting. And then I'm okay, well, he refreshed 6, and I need to stick 4 or 5 damage. And then he cancels 4 of my 5 attacks. And I'm just I don't know what to do. I just survived triple Mikasa, but now I lose because I can't stick 2 attacks on this man. So we lost that game because I guess that happens. And then we go into round 3.
So round 3, I play against the Mirror finally, which was actually against Jason, the winner of New Jersey, who I lost to there to win my spot. This game was so weird because this game put me on Omega tilt for the rest of the day, which I think kind of screwed up my rest of my rounds. But I've never played the Mirror, but I just discussed the Mirror with Nico when Nico and I did a bunch of weekends in a row of testing Fate out a bunch. So I make a very small misplay at level 0, so I lost a card that I didn't want to lose. But it was so minute, but it shouldn't have mattered that much. But the one thing that actually put me on tilt this game was so Fate has whenever you trigger gold bar, a ton of things go off, and so you have a stack of effects to resolve. So I triggered gold bar going into level 1, attacking with my clock bomb into Jason's field or whatever. So I swing with it, trigger gold bar, and why I'm trying to decide whether I want to resolve the gold bar and get the blind stock, and then I have to resolve the brainstormer as well, which takes me a minute to decide how important some of the things I want in my hand or not. So once I go through all those effects, during that time he already took damage before I resolved everything, which is how the game is supposed to be done, is I need to resolve all my effects before damage is revealed. And I said something like 3 or whatever, and he's like, oh, I took it or whatever. So I assumed I already did all the effects and then moved to my last attack without even reversing my clock bomb. And then when I attacked with the last card, I'm like, wait, shouldn't this be in the clock? And then he just tells me, he's like, you missed the timing on it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And that's the part that really tilted me, because he just kind of skipped the steps or whatever there, so it kind of put me in a I was confused on whether everything resolved or whatever, but it did not, which really sucks. So that put me on tilt that game. And then I made a very after that I made a really dumb misplay. I was holding on to yellow at level 3 in my hand to clock to play the level 3 bounce saber, and my very big brain decided that even though I had this yellow card in hand to clock, I wasn't going to clock it this turn, and then I didn't let me play my level 3 saber, so I couldn't do bounce the rider that had the effect, and then play caster, stock swap, and swing 4 times that turn. So yeah, that was just like, yeah, it just after level one mistake with the clock bomb, the game kind of like I crashed and burned really hard that game. But yeah, the mirror match is really dumb because your clock encore doesn't even matter in this matchup because usually you just have the clock bombs to remove their board and they have nothing to clock encore. Yeah, but that's about it for that. And you just slam climaxes and see who dies first.
Okay, so my round three was against Ian, Statman himself. He was playing AOT. Surprise, surprise! It's like half of the room almost. It's like a fourth of the room. Um, so what's disgusting is Weiss Schwarz is a cool game that we play because I felt like I was losing this game almost the entire time. Like there was a point where like I had to like crash 2 lanes, and then I decided to side attack with my bomb to try to like get like the damage to like start swinging in my favor. And I'm like, what are you gonna do? Play a random 1/1? And then he puts down this 1/175 mill runner, and I'm just like, oh, that's a pretty random 1/1. So like this thing stayed on the board the entire game. Like I just felt like I was losing. Like everything. Like my deck was like kind of falling apart. But then he was just eating damage randomly, and then he was like pretty compressed, and I just like he was at 3-0 with a 1 card deck, and he used the mill runner to mill down and refresh. You refresh clean, and then he just eats 6 and dies to vanilla swings, and I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, like, I guess I win. It felt really bad. Like I kind of wish I would have won the game before and then lost that one, but it's Weiss Schwarz. You win games you shouldn't, and you lose games you shouldn't. So
Yep,
I guess I'm 2-1 now.
that's the nature of the beast. So what? We're on round four here. I play against was it Sergio, right? The guy from Texas.
Oh, you got to play against him.
Dude, yeah,
Spook.
that game was super spooky. Not only did he slam two soul on me like the first turn, he slammed it again the following turn. Like if I didn't cancel him like five one of the times, I'm pretty sure I would have lost this game. So luckily for me, I didn't open up with like a handful of climaxes, so I was able to cancel some of the two soul swings. Um, totally forgot about the 1/1 Roselia counter. So he's like randomly like goes from like a 1 card hand to like a 6 card hand like every other turn, and I'm like, I don't know why is this happening to me. Yeah, I'm like I double check too because he needs 5 separate cards with one name each, and he has it when he uses it. So he 1/1 counters me and searches out 2 cards and then cancels, and I'm like, oh my god, not like this, please. Um, anyway, the game went on and he built a ton of stock and there was no way for him to pay it out basically. So like right before like the turn I'm gonna kill him, I just stock swap him and like it forces him to refresh with like 2 or 3 and like a 35 card deck, and then so he basically just eats like 7 straight and loses the game. But everything leading up to that before that part was like really spooky. Like the deck was randomly just spooky for like no reason. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess round four, I'm against Carmen Becker. I have to fight everyone from Texas, I guess. He was the first place Texas rep, and that game was absolute AIDS. If I can just be honest, it's like turn one, he tri-fielded me, and I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Like my hand is like ready for it. I'm just like, oh, okay, this seems pretty aggressive. So I get hit to 1-0. It's like whatever. But then like as time goes on, it's like I think that my deck was like less. My deck just like wasn't built to handle that matchup. Really, I felt because like so at level 2, I side attack with a rem, and then he anti-change counters my rem, and I was really confused about it because like my rem didn't even have markers, and like his deck is better prepared to like answer it. I felt like on the following turn, like so I felt like he was like using a lot of resources there. But then when he pooped out like a rem and a felt, and then I anti-damaged one of his swings, like I felt like I was like starting to get in a commanding lead. But my deck is real like he just started canceling. Like I didn't feel like he was even compressed at this point, but he was like canceling a lot. And my deck is very bad in those situations because it doesn't have like the Amelia to like check things. I don't have like a gate trigger. Like the shot trigger doesn't really help me in these elongated situations. And I'm kind of forced to like rely on sacking brainstorms, but I used a lot of resources on my sack counter to anti-damage in the turn before. And then he had like double felt on board. Um, and like I just like was like seeing my hand just like quickly deplete. And then there were like multiple turns that were like very strange. I felt like he tap countered a card. I think he was like 1-3 on compression and up by over 4 damage. And then he still tap countered one of my swings for 2. And I was just like, oh, okay. I mean, that like maybe that decompression will help me win. But even that wasn't enough because like I just couldn't like find cards. So yeah, my deck kind of just like died on me that game, and then I'm now 2-2.
Strong. So yeah, we're both going into round 5. Both of us are 2-2. We need to go 4-2 to have a chance to make top 8 at this event since there's so little amount of players.
Oh yeah,
I play against the most freest person I've ever played against in my life. His name is Dean.
I had the most impossible matchup in the world. It's not even. It's like character select in a fighting game. It's like a 9-1. It's like 1-9.
Yeah. All the only notes I have on this match is Dean low rolled while I high rolled, and then I wrote nothing exciting happened. I think the only. Go ahead.
Exciting fact: I play 2 mill runners in my deck, only to really color fix for yellow. The mill runner I opened with, it milled a climax as always. Just so you know, that was pretty cool.
Did it mill 2 climaxes that game, or just that one time? Right.
It was just that one time because I wasn't gonna mill. I wasn't gonna mill unless I was Did it mill a 2 climax? Did you actually put something in the other lane and I milled?
Yeah. So I don't remember at level 0 it milled you milled a climax, right?
Did I?
I think you did. And then I was like, sweet.
I know for.
Oh no!
I know for a
it had
fact.
to live unless you played the second one.
Yeah, no, because I don't. There's no way I opened 2.
Yeah.
Like, because I remember you put down. I was like, I'm not even gonna mill, even if you put the soccer or 1-0 in front of it, unless I can like force you to open a lane and the other lane, by mill running. And then you put down like double 1-0 Sakura, and then the Shiro, and then the Shiro after climax was 2K, and I'm like, well, running here is pretty good. And then I mill a climax.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. This is why I don't play these cards. They suck.
And then you ate everything straight. I was just like, all right, Dean's just absolutely done this game. Like after that, oh man. But yeah, you did like if you had like 1 or 2 extra cancels that game at any point, like I got to that point where I was just running into your Reinhardt. Reinhardt was like really spooky in this matchup.
Well, okay, so he's saying this. What happened was he did Medusa for 1 turn, and I did what I thought I should in this matchup. Was I pushed my back row into the Medusa so it popped because a lot of my cards are like below 3k power, and then I crashed my other 2 lanes so that I could promote the Reinhardt to force him to go to at least 3-3, and then I can finish him off with the Betelgeuse combo. What actually happened was, even though I was like semi-compressed, I was eating damage, so I was at like 3-4 when I put down the Reinhardt, and then he just swung 2-2, and I ate both of those, despite the fact that I still had like 6 climaxes in deck. So I don't think the Reinhardt actually did anything. It was I think it was supposed to win me the game, but
I just think the damage you took earlier kind of screwed you over how low roll you got like destroyed earlier, which is unfortunate. Like if you had like 1 extra turn at all, like I'm pretty sure I lose that game no matter what, because that Reinhardt put me from like 3-1 to like 3-4 or something, right, by the end of it. So
yeah, basically what I needed was I needed the Reinhardt turn to survive, and then I would have been able to hopefully present the Betelgeuse combo and then go from there. But when you can't find cancels, it doesn't matter like what your deck's doing.
Yeah. So yeah, round six. I play against another AOT player. I think this guy was from either Mexico or like Spain or something. He had a very Spanish accent. I wish I wrote everyone's name down. I should have done that because they actually had all the names at the tournament listed. But yeah, this game was just like I was already kind of like I was tilted from my round four game, or not round four, still from my round three game. But like after beating Dean or whatever, I kind of felt like a little bit more stable, I guess. But this game was so bad. I opened like really garbage. Like I didn't open any of my clock bombs for this matchup. I like climax flooded in the first two turns, so I was like out five by like turn two, and then yeah, so like it was really hard for me to like at all stabilize at any point. I think at even one point I had a three cost encore, otherwise I wouldn't have three attacks the next turn, and I was already like slowly falling behind, so it couldn't afford to like miss out on an attack opportunity. And then I did a really dumb misplay at level two. So since I like basically didn't cancel up until I like 2-5 or something like that, or 2-4, I had the opportunity to. This was still my first deck. I had the opportunity to play the free fresh card, and then skip out on a damage and then draw a card. But when I looked it down on my clock, I didn't see red, and I was like, "Crap! I need to clock red, otherwise, like this deck will fall apart really fast." So I clocked the 2-1, and right after I clocked the 2-1, I realized I actually leveled up red at level 1, which is something I normally don't do. So yeah, that was like a really huge misplay that game. I think if I didn't make that misplay, I probably would have won that game, even though like my hand and everything was really garbage up until the very end. I just do remember like towards the end, I got into like 3-2 or something, and like yeah, if I didn't take the two extra damage or yeah, two extra damage earlier, and then got like one extra quote unquote heal off of it, I would have been in a way better position to win that game. But at that point too, I was just like, my run's basically over. Like, ready to end my life here. But yeah, it was a really dumb game.
Okay, so I had the best game I've ever had. Um, so I'm against Andrew. I think he got first place in Chicago. I think that's where it was. He plays Sal, and I'm pretty positive against everything except for standby Sal in bracket. So I was feeling pretty good about the match. But my only goal was to end even. Like I knew I already wasn't going to top. So a lot of the stress of that was over. The But I'm just trying to play my deck. Like that's my only goal, and my deck is telling me no. The He's like double canceling every turn, and I'm like, oh okay, sure, whatever. And then there's like a really weird turn where I have two climaxes and like what is it, 16 card deck? Yeah, I think it's a 16 card deck, and I go because I left one card after Amelia mill 4 3 times. I have a triple Amelia, I have quad Amelia in hand, double book. So I'm gonna refresh at most 7 climaxes after this. I slam the book, top check 4 clean, trigger shot. Okay. Now I'm gonna refresh 6. Top check 4 clean, trigger shot. Interesting. Top check 4 clean, trigger whatever. On his following turn, I pay 3 encore one of the Amelias. So I'm gonna have double Amelia. And I think I had the Rem and Ram Bomb to get a third Amelia if I wanted to. But here's the thing: I refreshed like I think on his like turn I'd canceled once, and I was at like 2. No, I was at 1-6 now because I started at like 1-0. No, I was at 1-5. Yeah, I started like 1-0, and I canceled one of his attacks. And I'm like, okay, I only have like 4 climaxes in this like 20 something card deck. Triple Amelia, probably not going to do much. But what I can do is that because I paid 3 to save it, I can shove up my back row, like replacing it with the Amelias, and then just try to like suicide into his board or like attack in whatever order is like leave like maybe one character on board, and then just like pray for the cancels because me milling the deck, it's like very unlikely for me to have those climaxes in the bottom. But it's very likely that they're like spread out somewhere in the middle, and that as long as like I don't leave him aboard, if he slams like a climax who's like threes and fours, I'm like more likely to cancel those and then try to be in a good position. That's like what my thought was. So I crash my board with weenies. I trigger a book on the second attack, and I just go, am I just dead? Am I dead here at 1-5? And he's like, nah, there's no way. Next turn, he's at 2-1. He slams down the Sinon early play and like a Yuki combo and then like some card in the middle. And he slams the gold bar. Attacks with the Sinon for 5. It sticks. Attacks with the Yuki, searching out 2 cards. Gets a soul trigger, so it's for 3 because he's attacking into my 1 character I left. It sticks. Mills 3 cards, hits a climax on the 3rd card. Sinon restand, swings for 3. It sticks. Then Sinon swings again for 6, and it sticks, and I die. With the 3 remaining climaxes being on the very bottom of my deck. So that was pretty cool. This guy attacked 4 times, and I died from 1-5.
Beautiful.
And that ended my Worlds run. But that was I like that happened at least in round 6. So it can be like a funny story instead of like me throwing cards across the room.
That happens round 1. Dean would have just like, killed everyone in that room.
That was the most disgusting low roll I think I've ever had in this entire game, where I'm just like, I just died from 1-5. To that was so good. I don't know. That was an experience.
That's crazy. Man, yeah. So both of us we didn't make top 8 obviously, unfortunately this year. It's fine. We're just going to win next year, right? That's how it works.
Maybe, I don't know. I kind of suck at this game.
All right. What is it? There's one thing we should talk. I guess should we talk about this? Should save this for a different video about like the fiasco in top 8.
Which one?
the time call.
There's like multiple things that happen though, right? I mean, like the time call. I think that's legitimate because like, have you played? Did you play? I at least had against Cameron. I feel like some of the players, because English time rules, like in Japanese, right? You have the double time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So first, I guess we should actually like lay down the foundation for what happened. So top 8 happened, and the entire time that the tournament was going on, as soon as they called time, you had like 5 minutes, and then the game would instantly end. And still, like, they had the turn still, but like Weiss Schwarz turns take a while, right? That's why I always thought it was a joke in English, like in regionals, because they would call time and they wouldn't have like they go into turns, but turns and Weiss are the reason you went into time. It's like the turns are just long, especially if you're like slow at the game. And they would just have 5 minutes, and then the game would end. And a lot of people thought that was unfair. But in Japanese, like their turn, like if you try to like slow play or you play like a 2 defensive deck, you just like double loss your opponent.
Yeah, it's like the worst thing that could happen to you in rounds. But the big thing is, like, even in Japanese Weiss, when you get to top 8, they make you finish the game. There's no real time. Like, they may like be like, hey, you gotta hurry up because you're taking a very long time. But it's not like, both players, like 5 minutes after time, like quote unquote the first 30 minutes, then like randomly, like whoever takes damage loses the game type of deal that was happening here. Usually like never happens in the top cut scenario. Usually they force the game to finish, which I think is kind of weird. But
yeah, because like
go ahead.
At the highest level, shouldn't you expect your players to be playing faster? Like I felt like a lot of the people were like being like overly cautious or like over analyzing. Like they were like in like analysis paralysis like half of the games.
Mm-hmm. I can definitely see that because like I think there's like 3 or 4 people in top 8. This is like their first time at Worlds, right? I know Cameron was there first time. Who else? Actually, no, maybe not. Maybe there was only like two or three people at most. Either way, like at this level, you should know what you're doing. You shouldn't get in that scenario where you're like over analyzing everything down to like the very last second or whatever. I think it's like a little bit on the players, but I'm not sure. Like since I wasn't in top eight, I guess neither of us will know for sure. But like, I feel like this is something they should announce to the top eight players before that round starts. Like, hey, you only get 30 minutes, and after that you get 5 minutes, and then like the game's done. You know?
Yeah, the no announcements probably like also on Bushiroad. Like Bushiroad has a way at times with tournaments, but I also like I don't want to entirely pin the blame on them because like I feel like 30 minutes is more than enough time for a game of Vice, and when you add the additional 5, like you should be finishing most games in that time frame.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think most of the blame is on Bushiroad, but I think it's kind of like I think like a 70-30 split. Like 70% of the blame is on Bushiroad. I feel like 30% is like on the players for like actually not playing the game, or even
Yeah.
like asking about like time rules in Top Cut. Because I've done that before, not very often, because it's usually the same across all boards. I just clarified to make sure that if we go to time here, what happens in Top Cut? Because sometimes it's like you just play till the game's over. Other times it's like in this scenario where like we'll go to time in turns or whatever. It doesn't matter in Top Cut still. So it's definitely something I think the players should have expected. But at the same time, I don't blame them thinking that like, hey, we're gonna play the game till someone loses. So when this happened, it was like 3 of the 4 games that were happening was decided by time, right?
Yeah, that's what happened. 3, so 6 different people went into sudden death.
Yeah, and
There's
the sudden death rule they used there was like literally first person to have damage change loses the game, right?
No, is it sudden death like that? Is it first
Yeah,
damage changes, or was it? Did they get the 5 minute time?
they got the 5 minute time first, and then it went to immediate sudden death. Is what I understood how it happened. So like basically, there'd be like they go to time, someone would like finish their turn, and then the next guy would have like 3 minutes to do his turn, and then it went to sudden death.
But like
That's how I
sudden death
understood.
is only if you're tied in damage, which is like
Oh yeah,
already
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like a
Okay, yeah, yeah. Never mind. It was probably just whoever has least damage wins the game, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yes. So yeah, it's still like quote, the sudden death rule, right, for the most part. But yeah, either way, yeah, it was just kind of really weird. Um, yeah, I guess should we? Let's see. How long has this been so far? About 37 minutes. Do you want to save the other stuff? I guess for I guess we'll talk with Nico and some other people. Or
Let's just keep going. What's going?
all right, yeah, fine. Screw it. Well, the next big I guess drama in top eight for Worlds was the 5 turns later DQing a player, right? Is that what we're talking about
Oh,
next? Was there more than I?
oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, like that's one worth bringing up, right? I mean,
All right, so this
so,
is
so this is
one.
like
This is the
this is
worst part.
twofold.
Yeah, like this,
This
I
this is
don't
two.
know. They both sides are to blame, like equally. I feel like, right?
Yeah, one. So what happened was the man who got third didn't
Ryan.
get to go
Yeah.
to the finals. Yeah, Ryan Wibberley from Canada. He fought. I don't even know
He
what
was,
the matchup
yeah, he was
was.
playing against Riaz.
He was fighting. Oh yeah, Riaz is so blessed. Okay, let's talk about Riaz over here. Like I said, 2 card hand, triple Mikasa, arm and back row split 2K1. He was blessed the entire way. So I guess Riaz is fighting against Ryan, and like he kills the on death Azusa, the thing that when hits grave, he top checks 4 and adds a card,
Yeah, adds
or
magic
ditches a
trait
card and then
character.
adds one.
Yeah.
Um, and this card can grab almost everything in your deck that doesn't have a picture of Aqua on it.
Yep.
That's like it. That's like the only card it really misses in the entire deck. And it's Worlds. You're expected to. I think it's like well, it's kind of weird because Bushiroad. I feel like because like Vanguard and well, Buddy Fight's definitely not bigger, but Vanguard's like the bigger game. I feel like a lot of their staff like focuses on that, and they don't have like the dedicated staff they need for like Vice, right? So
Yeah,
their judges.
I think most of the judges that do come to Worlds, they're all from Singapore for the most part, and so I don't know like exactly who's there specifically judging Weiss and actually knows the rule set for Weiss. But from what I'm told from other Singaporeans is that Vanguard is like a way bigger game there. On top of the fact that I think most players there don't even consider Weiss like a good game. So I think a lot of the judges like just casually know the game, and so you kind of get in this scenario like Dean's saying here is you have these judges that don't really know the rules, they only like vaguely know the rules, and the scenario that Ryan was put in like should have been caught because these top games, especially when they're streamed, should have live judges there following along from the beginning to the
Yes.
end. So if they had a proper judge there, the judge should have been able to catch that misplay and fix it immediately, so we wouldn't have to get into the scenario of like Ryan playing out 5 more turns and then suddenly the judge coming to say, "Hey, by the way, you screwed up 3 turns ago, we're going to DQ from this game, and you just
Yeah,
lost."
because like what ended up happening was because this game was live streamed, um, like nobody was gonna catch this. Like he would have probably won despite this grabbing this wrong card in Worlds. But what ended up happening was chat goes wild, and then like whoever's like monitoring the chat like 5 minutes later is like, hey, wait, it's like and they're just like, oh no, this guy added the wrong card, and even though we if it was like caught like 2 seconds later, you just like go back to the officer search targets and swap them. Um, it was just too late to reverse, so they ruled it as a game loss.
Yeah, I think the worst part about the scenario is the card he picked up. He had another copy of that same card in his hand, which is the Snot Aqua. But that following turn he picked it up, he played both of them because he was still at level 0. I think if in this
Mm.
scenario, I think the way they could have ruled it, if he didn't play it from his hand that one turn, and they caught him like a couple turns later and it's still in his hand, I think the thing you would just end up doing is just make him discard it, and he got nothing off of that Megumin, right? I feel like that would be the most fair way to complete the game. But the biggest issue is that he fielded the card literally the turn after he grabbed it, and then like that card has like a lot of impact on the game because it mills as well as like runs the stock and does other things. So
Right.
yeah, it's like really unfortunate this happened, but this is definitely something where like Bushiro dropped the ball. Oh man, the train. And then Ryan and Riaz. I also kind of blame Riaz for this, but like both players should have been on top of the ball of like these card effects. It's not like Konosuba is a new deck that came around. Like I understand the extra pressure at Worlds, so you might make a misplay in this case like this and grab the card that's not the correct trait. But definitely like equal blame is like to be given all around, and hopefully this like next year Bushiroad will up their game and like the players will all up their game as well, because like things like this shouldn't be happening at all, and like especially when it comes to Worlds, and especially when it's like the top cut.
Definitely. Like yeah, like misplays like this. But it's like kind of unique to Bushiroad. It's unique to Bushiroad in the fact that they do have 3 card games they try to support at the same time, versus
Mm-hmm.
like a normal company that would like have like their 1 card game. So it's like everyone at the tournament knows that 1 card game.
Yeah, I agree, but at the same time, like Bushiroad, it's not like literally everyone there's a volunteer. They don't have someone on staff that they literally pay to know this game, like at all. I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, yeah, it just sucks. It just this whole scenario just sucks in general. But yeah, was there any other crazy stuff happening in top 8? That was mostly it, right, for the drama stuff.
Cardcaptor Sakura got 4th.
Oh yeah, I watched that game. Ryan destroyed that guy. It was pretty funny.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah. Well, I guess he didn't destroy the guy, but yeah, that deck though was like a pretty good rogue deck to take, I guess. If you were expecting a lot of AOT, that deck does decently well against AOT because of he was playing Reflect Top in, so -1 soul against AOT plus on top of no burn ones is pretty crippling for the end game for AOT, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really weird. I guess I wonder what the thought process was around it, because its top end has a decent matchup against AOT, but I think everything else before that just sucks against AOT. Like he's playing the TD combo, the Stock Soul combo, so he gets nothing. He's not gonna get his combo off like ever. I guess he replenished his hand through triggering Gate and like triggering the Amagi, right? And Ricky's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has like the Amagi, and like the 1/1, and that's like it. I'm actually really confused as to like how, because like I mean like the 1/1's good against Fate. Fate gives up reverses, but there's only 3 Fate in the room.
Yeah.
AOT you just lose to. Konosuba's free.
Hmm.
Like you get all the reverses against them, and then like the 1/1 does work.
Yeah.
But
It has to just be a combination of making sure you get your 1-1 out at as soon as possible against AOT. That way you're not losing one lane every turn, because AOT has no answer for it till level 2, and if you don't change into a level 3 at level 2, they literally have no answer to the 1-1. So you can actually ride that. Well, I guess they can field 2-1 armor in the front row, but I don't think anyone's going to do that. You basically can ride the 1-1 all the way to level 3, which might help it out, on top of like playing stock, being able to slam a stock soul and basically always get a card to replace the climax probably helps a lot with the Amagi. So I assume it's a combination of just having the Amagi plus the 1-1 is just enough to make the matchup not as bad. Like maybe like in that combination the matchup's like 4-6, but with the top end it becomes more like a 5-5 matchup.
can we just admit he was probably extremely lucky that day?
He was probably extremely lucky that day. Let's be real. But it's not like Cardcaptor Sakura sucks. But I definitely did not expect it to be like top 4. Honestly,
Especially,
I think the only way I seen it in like top 8 was if you were playing it, because your build was pretty spooky. But yeah, we talked about it a bunch about how it just doesn't, it kind of just rides the momentum, and that's all it does, right?
yeah, it
Yeah.
like Cardcaptor Sakura, like regardless of what you do, what he played like Musashi's and stuff. I don't know. I felt like his deck was like a little bit better at level 3, but a lot worse at level 2. And like I felt like his deck was weaker at level 1. Like it had the 1/1, but like how good is a 1/1/5/5 that like can't be reversed by cost zeros? Like it's a profile that's in like every set, and every set doesn't play it.
Well, like I said, I think it was just happened to be a combination of like things he has access to. I think that 1-1 profile usually is garbage, like absolute garbage. But I mean, if you're going into this tournament expecting, say, a lot of Fate, a lot of AOT, and Konosuba and stuff like that, I think you can feel comfortable for the most part teching in 2 of those 1-1s and just trying to ride one of those till level 3 with
He played
the Magi.
3.
He played 3. Oh man, I didn't look at the list
He
yet.
played 3.
I don't know. Maybe try to like wall up 2 lanes, because I mean, like, it doesn't seem like a horrible plan, because you're never like technically losing board there, and on top of being able to get back more hand and slamming climaxes every turn because of Amagi. Um, but yeah, it just might have been his matchups too. Like, I don't know his entire round run. Maybe he just hit like a lot of Konosuba and like things that would give him really easy reverses. So like he only lost like 1 or 2 games before going into top 8.
How
Or
many
did,
Bang Dream were there? Because Bang Dream's like super free for that deck, right? Because
yeah, I
sucks.
know. Was it Li Shin was on Bang Dream there? I think there was only a couple Bang Dream, not that many. That was definitely a deck I was considering a lot, but yeah, I don't think there was that many people on Bang Dream at all. And then like the Li Shin was on Fever Bang Dream too, which I thought was really like a really bad choice for the environment going into Worlds. But I think he has Max Rare deck too, so clearly he had to flex a little bit more.
Yeah, it's like it looks like Bang Dream just surrenders board and then like can't get reverses, right? So it's like
Hmm.
that's generally the big weakness of it. And then like every top end is
And
countered by one of the big decks.
and like he was playing Mocha top end too, and I mean, if it's not apparent by now, like literally everyone in the Burn One team hates Mocha. So
Well, it's like especially against like AOT, like there's so many AOT players, and then they swing and then you move gear and then you cancel,
yeah,
or you just cancel on 3.
yeah, it's it's tough. Yeah, I think that's it though. There's nothing else to really talk about top 8, right?
Not that I know of.
Yeah. Well, I guess if that's it, I guess we'll wrap this up. Big shout outs to Riaz for this is the first player to win 2 worlds, right? And I think he already has his invite for worlds now for
Yeah, he's the
2020.
greatest player of all time.
Greatest player of all time, surprisingly, from a region I don't respect. But What else? Oh, and then congratulations to Ryan from Strictly Broken as well. He got third. Unfortunately, he probably would have won Worlds honestly if he didn't make that fuck up. But yeah, those two players are probably some of the two most like humblest players like in the community, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're both super solid too when they
yeah,
play.
yep. Can't blame them. Yeah, so yeah, shout outs to them. Congratulations to both of you. Hopefully next year or for 2020, Dean and I get our revenge. But yeah,
Oh boy, maybe I can get top 12.
besides that, guys, we'll see you guys in the next video later. Before you go, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel if you do enjoy our content, as it does help us grow, and check out some of these social media links below.